always like to imagine where artists, who their favorite writers are or artistry. And so when I did it on Lionel Richie, he mentioned obviously Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, Smokey Robinson, and of course the Beatles, Lennon and McCartney. It would make sense, you know. I mean, because between Motown and England, the best writing that connected with what Lionel Richie was all about, you could definitely see the influences. You could definitely see the correlation. You listen to an artist's work, and it in totality it makes sense where they get the way they write vamps, the way they write bridges, the way they come up with grooves and concepts. You know, when he wrote "Missing You" for Donna Ross for Marvin Gaye tribute, it definitely had a tone in it where it was definitely a nod to Marvin Gaye, not just the tribute, but the tone and the feel. So you could definitely hear that. And then obviously his homage to Stevie Wonder, Smokey Robinson with the being able to write the love songs, being able to be poetic and profound like with Stevie, and then put in those kind of choruses that worked really strongly with what Lennon and McCartney did. So you know you get all the totality of what makes someone into one of the greats to what they do, and you can definitely see it all in its distinctive. And I may have done talked about him before, but I hadn't gone into extensiveness because when I was like really listening to Lionel Richie's music, I always said there's a nod to Ray Charles, you know, and obviously all the down home South with preachers and his ability, you know, there's a certain way that he writes certain songs, they just kind of stick with you. And I say he writes grown people feeling music. No one quite wrote like Richie, like he had that knack for what I call that down home feeling music. There's people who write songs that talk about a scenario, but his cut to the feeling, like where you were, what you were doing, what you heard. He had a unique way of putting it down. So that's why I mentioned Richie. It's like one of those artists that um, you could definitely feel the totality and where it's going with that. So, um, his work continues to be heard, continues to be felt. And, when you go to a label that represents what you were about as a songwriter, as an artist, that's the best feeling in the world. Because imagine if Richie had a gone to another label and he didn't have those influences and his style of writing, and you may detour. So, you just understand how dominant Smokey Robinson was. You understand how much feeling Marvin Gaye gave you. You understand the visual concepts that you felt from Stevie Wonder. You respected the choruses part that Lennon McCartney did. So it's all in connection. So it makes sense of what he's saying. But anyway, I thought like, wow, I wasn't surprised or shocked because I've listened to his music and you feel it was a direct line to those artists, So, but I do think that the one he didn't mention is obviously a Ray Charles situation. I definitely see, blues tendencies, low key. There's another side to what he does, so it definitely hits that way though, and that's why he's been one of the greatest artists ever. So anyway, but let me know what you think though. Where you come down on when I think about Lionel Richie's songwriting influences and was there anybody that I forgot that influenced that you think, please let me know in the comments. Please like, subscribe, work on thoughts, comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands, keep your mind clear, watch out for another share if you like, and hit that membership because when you do requests like this come true, stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. I'm on peace.